Acquisition Wealth Planning. Thanks for stopping by. Got another video today that I think will be helpful. It's going to be 5 steps to pay off your consumer debt. So if you like the video, please like it. If you have liked some of the content that I put out, or you think you're interested in some of this personal finance stuff, especially with the biblical, focus on it, please follow the channel. Follow me on Instagram, and we'll love to keep getting the message out. And I appreciate y'all. So hope this helps. Again, how to pay off your consumer debt. So step one is very simple. You got to stop borrowing. Okay, so when we look at the Bible, this isn't going to be an in-depth video of all the different Bible verses that talk about it, but I should do one of those. I've kind of floated around some of the different verses out there, but it is not something that the Bible is fond of, is debt. Okay, so when we look at consumer debt, most people, sadly, are in consumer debt and way more than we should be. And so, what we need to do is we need to, first of all, stop borrowing, stop putting money on the credit card, stop buying new cars that we don't have cash for. Obviously, if you got student loans, you're probably not adding that anymore if you're out in the workforce, but we got to get the student loans paid off. Personal loans, right? Inflation is raging, prices are increasing, and it seems like there's people out there that are having to put some of their lifestyle on the credit card, especially now we're taking trips and we're financing trips. So the first thing we got to do is we got to stop the bleeding. And that might take some prayer and reflection to figure out, why are we spending this way, asking for some strength from God to help rein in our spending or, whatever different things that we're doing that has gotten us into debt, figure out what happened and how we can fix it, and try to resolve to not do that anymore. So that's step one: is we got to stop the bleeding and get ourselves in the right mindset, get ourselves in the right spiritual state. So that would be step one. And then once we've got that in place, that we know that it is now time. We've committed. We're getting out of debt. Right. Step one. Step two is going to be build your budget. And again, I should do another separate video on that. But what you have to do is you have to look at your income sources in every single month, because this is what people often get mixed up, is that they try to set a budget and they say, well, this month I had this thing come up and this month I had this thing come up. Well, especially when you're focusing on getting out of debt, you have to look at it every single month and you have to say, okay, well, this is my projected income for this month and this is my projected spending for this month. And you have to account for that. So if there's things that are coming up that you have to pay for this month, that means that you may have to spend less in other things. And so the focus being getting your debt paid off, right? Again, if we're talking about how foolish debt is and you're just not able to live the way God wants us to, it's going to limit a lot of opportunities that God might present, and it's going to inhibit you from saving for your future, for your family, and investing. So, building your budget out and making sure that every dollar that comes in is going to be allocated and spent in an intentional way, with a good chunk of that being put on your debts. Okay. Now, step three for most of you is probably going to involve trying to find a way to increase your income. There are some people out there that are in consumer debt and they do make enough income with their jobs that they could pay it off in a reasonable amount of time. You just have to be more intentional. So if that's you, just get focused. But most people could stand to use a little bit more income to get this thing paid off faster. So there's a lot of, extra ways you could do that, whether that's focusing on your full-time job and getting some additional certifications, or trainings that might increase your income at your full-time job. That's a really great way to get boosts, is to figure out what is the way just within that same track you're already working to make it happen. Now, if you're at a job that is going to be hard to do that, well, maybe you should start retooling, figure out a different job, right? That would be another option, is a different job that could pay you more. Or if you like your job, you can't add to it right now, but you think there's the future that you want to stay in, but you just in the short term need some extra income. There's a ton of work out there. I'm sure you all have seen that over the last few years. It seems like no company can keep employees. So if you're able to do physical work, there's construction sites all over the place that are needing help. You can make way above minimum wage working on any sort of physical trade, just helping out as a manual labor if you don't have any skills. Of course, you can do all the classic stuff like deliver pizzas and what have you. You can walk dogs. I mean, anything with pets, people seem to pay a lot of money for pet sitting and things of that nature. So get creative. You can, rake leaves in the fall. You can mow grass. There's a lot of things that you could do, but there's some things that are just, you know, anything stocking shelves at any sort of store overnight. Those things are just kind of already pre-built. You can just go do that. But I would focus on finding a way that you can get a little bit more income because that's going to help speed up your process. Now, 4 is going to be pay down your smallest debt first. This is going to be the one that's a little bit controversial. So again, in all of the financial training that I've done, they have said, look at the interest rates and pay down the one with the highest interest rates because that's going to help save you the most money. And that is absolutely true. And in a vacuum, that is what someone should do. So if you are able to be disciplined and you think you could handle it, you could take down the highest interest rate debt. It's going to save you some money along the way. But when you list out your debts and you put them in order, not of interest rate, but of balance, right? So you put the top of the page is the one that's $500. Then the next one on the list is the one that's 1,000. The next one on the list is the $3,000 one, and the last one on the list is, say, your $10,000 car payment. You have them kind of in that order with those 4 debts. And you just focus everything on the $500 one. That would be something called the debt snowball, which has been popularized by Dave Ramsey and company. And he gets a lot of hate for that because people say, well, why would you not worry about the interest rate? I just need to pay off the highest interest rate. Again, in theory, that works, but Davis has tapped into something so powerful, and that is controlling your behavior. And I've seen that in my working with clients directly is getting any sort of behavior change. You have to have a catalyst for the change. You have to have motivation to keep going. And the thing about the debt snowball, when you're paying off that first debt, you feel euphoric. You feel like there's a weight lifted. And I've done this in my own experience when I had to pay off my debt journey, is getting those little debts out of your life is unbelievably empowering. So Dave has really tapped into something there. It bucks the conventional wisdom, but I got to say, go with the debt snowball as he's taught for years. It's going to be the way that's going to get you there. And then you got to get paid off fast. So if you're going to go with the debt snowball and you're just going to go for the smallest one and not worry about the interest rates, but then you slow roll and you don't get it done in the next year or two, well, then you're really going to be missing out on a lot of, that the interest rate. So I guess what I'm saying is if you are going to do the debt snowball, you need to go at it fast. And that's what Dave would teach, right? Try to get that debt paid off in the next 1 to 2 years. Most people can do that. If you have a lot of debt, maybe it's 3 years or 4 years. But you take the debt snowball and you got to hammer it hard. If you're going to lollygag through it, you're going to just never get out of debt. And all those ones that have the higher interest rates are going to continue to grow because you're not paying those down. So once you commit to it, you can do it, get it done. And that's step 5 is stay focused, stay consistent, and it will be over before you know it. The 1 or 2 or 3 years that it's going to take you to get out of debt, it's going to pass anyway. So why not pass? Why not have the time pass while being focused on the debt, get it paid off, and then when that 2 or 3 years is done, you'll be debt free. And it'll be an amazing feeling. So I hope that helps. Feel free to reach out to me if you have questions or any follow-ups on that. And if you have any additional topics that you want me to talk about, feel free to leave a comment. You can email me, send me a message. We'd love to hear from you, and I appreciate your time, and God bless.